the mic is finally, I hope it's working. Lane, quickly listen, or tune into the stream and make sure this mic is working. Because this thing, yesterday it kind of messed with me. Okay? Are you picking up any noise sound? Maybe I should just keep talking and we'll see if it works. According okay, cool. Because yesterday I sat here like 30. That really messed me up mentally. So which part didn't I trade? So okay, so basically yesterday the mic was off. It was on and we didn't realize. And yeah, that gave me some trauma, realizing I sat there like 30. Anyways, you guys can see here I have a lot of layers open. So I'm basically gonna draw the arm, the upper arm, the lower arm. I'm gonna finish those and the legs. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to delete every layer except the things that contain the head. So the head and the facial expressions are going to be left, because honestly I don't need anything else. For the facial expressions I don't need any of these to draw those. So for now I'm just gonna finish the arms and the legs. This one, by the way, I finished this morning. I finished this morning. I would actually love to just start when you guys tune in, but that's not always possible because we do work within time constraints. Let's turn this thing. So if you get seasick from me turning this thing, just tell me and I'll turn it a bit slower or faster, depending on how spiteful I'll be today. Okay. So see, I had accidentally worked on the wrong layer, but that's okay. I'm a human, we make mistakes. I did have a conversation earlier today where I basically said, yeah, even with artists, we always still learn. We're not really at a point where we know everything. There isn't a point in our lives where we can just stop learning and we didn't know all and be all. Um, we do make our mistakes and all that. Like specific people, um, specific artists work on something they specialize in. They don't necessarily um, they're good at what they do, but they're not really good at drawing anything else. Me, for example, if you tell me to draw an animal or environment, landscape, I wouldn't be able to do that. Not at all. Again, for the reason for this many layers, trust me, I don't like it myself. But fortunately, you need to stick to that because each limb, each body part needs to have its own layer. So if it was usually just me drawing or drawing something other than this, um, there would only be 3 layers, one called sketch, one called the outline, and another one called the color, because that's all that I would use. But now I have to do 2 layers for each and every limb. Fantastic. This is a bit of a tricky part because I'm now in a little bit of a position where I need to figure out how to draw the arm, where if I tilted the forearm, it wouldn't obstruct that much the looks of the upper arm, if that makes any sense. And usually the way I go about that is um, maybe drawing a bit over there, because if the forearm is going to be on top of the upper arm, you're not going to see that line. And when you twist it, of course this bit, let me just get the other color so I can show you. So when you move the forearm that way, this bit is going to be a bit more revealing. So I want to draw it in such a way. The reason I did this extra part was so that when the forearm moves, this bit and this bit could maybe connect at some point, and it needs to be drawn in such a way that it can still look a bit realistic. But I can over exaggerate this line because with the forearm at top layer, you're not going to be able to see that. And when we move the arms, um, these points, as you can see, they're always going to stay connected. The only reason this is a problem is because of the way arms work. Because usually when arms bend, this fleshy bit here, the bicep and the muscle whose name I can't remember at the forearm, when they press together, it kind of makes a squish and a line here. So that's something we take into consideration. Luckily, because it's Superman and he's buff, his forearm is already very big, so we can use that as an illusion for the muscle already looks like that on its own. Oh, sorry, I'm just scrolling down for a layer that already has the colors I'm looking for. Yeah, for the exact same reasons I just explained. That's why I kind of drew the upper arm over the chest section, even though it doesn't belong there. Is because the chest section is going to be, or the layer is going to be on top of the arm layer. So you're not going to see anything that's going behind this, but when we move this arm so that it pulls this direction, this piece is going to be revealed, this bottom piece, and then that's because that's the reason I drew this part, but it's fine, it's not gonna be revealed until the arm moves. Speaking of chest, it's probably a smart idea to me just to reveal it so that I myself can understand where the shading needs to go. See, now usually if this was a still image, I would just follow the general shape of how the shading would land, but I kind of need to cheat on that idea because of the way we talked about the arm moving. Also, if you follow our YouTube, you might have seen the post we made about the Twitch stream. If you look at the thumbnail of that thing, you can see the poses of Diewold and Dylan I drew, and I don't know why they specifically chose those poses, but they look so kind of afraid. I'm guessing they chose those poses because I have a tendency to randomly roast people, so they're afraid I'm gonna reveal all their secrets on stream. And I had to add that part today because I know they're listening to this. Where does this piece connect? Yeah, so also usually with the arms, when I use the colors, I tend to over exaggerate. It kind of like ends there, but I would usually make a sphere like this for the exact same reason we talked about layers overlapping. Actually, just for the sake of it, I'm just going to put the lower arm there so we can get a reference. obviously I would work on the wrong layer. I feel like this is something that's gonna happen a lot. Me working on the wrong layer. I'm just gonna do an experiment. Okay. Actually put arms behind body and use the upper arms and check if we move it how much is going to obstruct the body. Basically not that much. I'm happy with that. Kinda a little small teeny weeny itsy problem. Oh, hi fishy. A small problem I'm seeing now is the cape is supposed to be going behind the back, but I have idea. My idea basically is because this is also the deltoid that we drew here. The deltoid kind of, if I have my anatomy correct, the deltoid kind of consists of three parts. You have the front deltoid, the back, and the middle one. And when you get somebody that's really ripped, like Superman here, what would happen often is you would see the line of the deltoid. So I'm thinking we can maybe use this as an excuse for the deltoid, if because when we show the video, this is basically all you're going to see. So you're not really going to notice that it's the part of the cape. We can just pretend it's the deltoid. That was really going to annoy me a lot, but we play by the games of YouTube. While I was studying 3D animation in college, the second year we did character design. Or not, I'm mixing up the stories. In my third year, when I went for internship, I was working on a project, and the guy I was working for, and this is something I really try to integrate in my work life, is he basically told me that we shouldn't worry about the small details that the audience aren't going to see. It's details we as the creators know are there, but the audience aren't going to see them. So we shouldn't worry about those details because we only worry about what the audience is going to see. So if from a far off distance this looks like it's part of the deltoid splitting, then we can basically keep it that way. Maybe there would be one or two people that notice, oh, but that's the cape. We just don't acknowledge them. They don't exist, we don't acknowledge them at all. This is the one thing I really dislike about this workflow is I'm doing this for Moho, so I can't really put shadows where it's supposed to be in this pose, because when you move the limbs it's gonna look weird. So at the moment it doesn't look weird, but you can notice something's supposed to be there, and I can't put it there because when this stuff moves it's gonna be extremely weird if I did put it there. That's just the one thing that really annoys me. And honestly, it might have been better if I didn't use shading for this at all, generally speaking. But I'm a masochist, so I'm gonna use shading. Okay, see, we can kind of get away with that. I actually just try and fix that wasn't supposed to be there, but now it is. But no problem, we just what layer are you on, boy? Okay, cool. Now you're gone. Check this again. Make sure it works. For all intents and purposes, it works. So, cool. Not gonna worry too much about that. Just gonna try and find the hands. And my idea with this was so with the hands I kind of thought I wanted to make it be able to twist a bit like that, so wasn't really quite sure how to tackle this. Oh, actually I got a plan now. I got a plan. Just gonna put it behind the forearm, and we're not gonna put a very tight suit on Superman. What I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna just take an eraser quickly. This is my idea now, basically. Let's just turn down this opacity so that I can see what I'm doing. So my basic idea is kind of to make the suit not as tight around the hands. Wrong color. Rochelle. No. Day 3 of me telling you no. This is going on YouTube and it's not YouTube friendly. We're trying to make money here. This is my living. But we did do that in one of our videos. It was iDubbbz versus H3. And we did do a bit of a dong there, which I actually kind of suggested because the dude did. I'm not supposed to use this word. He looked weird, and the suit he wore was so tight. It was kind of like unavoidable for people to see that stuff. Okay, now because he doesn't have such an extremely Okay, so let's so yeah, I basically made this part bigger, which is kind of natural. In the new Superman movie you can see it. I think it's a new Superman movie. Yeah, I think around his neck type piece, it's kind of loose. It's not that tight, but you can basically use that illusion to create the idea of the hand still being in the clothes. So you can't do it that much, but you can't tilt it a bit, and that's what we're going for. So now comes the tedious part of saving everything. As I was explaining, this isn't my usual workflow. I'm just doing this because that's how the animation program works. However, which was this? Yeah, the right upper arm. But Rachel, I do have something for you that is not a double P, but I do have something else for you that is YouTube. It falls really into a kind of grayscale. I'll show it in a moment. Basically, that warning thing that popped up. I did save the hand beforehand, no pun intended. That was basically just saying, okay, you already saved something in that name with that same name, and I basically said, okay, yeah, I know, overwrite this thing. Because naming is extremely important with this process. It's like all these damn amounts of layers as to be named, and I hate working on so many layers, but yeah. So I'm just going to give Lucia something what she wants. Da, 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 da. Okay, this is horrific. I hate this, but you asked for it, so we gave him something horrendous. I really dislike it. This is it's not cool. I talked about this with Daniël yesterday, and the dude basically told me, because our first version of Superman did have extreme nips, if I can put it like that, um, and this one didn't have that. So I told him, look, I don't really like the idea. I know you like the idea. So I'll draw it in such a way that it's optional. But yeah, also you can see, okay, maybe the sigil of the Superman thing is supposed to go over this, but really I'm not going to put that much effort into a bunch of nips. So, especially if it's not going to be used that often. Yeah, it's because of the it's all in the nips. I don't have that big of an ego. But no, but the thing is, it's not the drawing that they like. That's just an excuse. They like me talking a bunch of nonsense, and sometimes just exposing your nipple kinks. Okay. Rochelle, you're really fine. You win. There, you win. Yeah, well, is that big? Is that big enough? Okay. Twitch won't get mad at me for this, ne? Okay, this is an experiment. This is an experiment. Okay. So, Rochelle, I hope you're happy now. Because I'm going to have to get rid of this any moment now. I'm going to give you a countdown from 10 to look at this. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Goodbye. Well, I guess she's happy now. Okay. Now we have to focus on the legs, and this is one of the parts I think the ladies would like most. We're going to have to focus on a part of the glutes. I don't know much about the female desire, but from what I know, they like glutes. And I'm not going to do what I did with the top. I'm gonna draw the legs. Oh, I'm not gonna draw them as each their own separate thing, but yeah. No buts. Why not? We're gonna give him that like a dump, and we're going to use that those Dragon Ball legs, which you're not gonna be able to see because it's out of thinguses. But what I will do is I kinda will draw it here on the side. Oh, one of the reasons I'm drawing him so off the side and not in the middle is because these characters we usually use for rap battles. Um, so one character we draw on this side, the other one we draw on that side. So it's kind of just see why are legs so small. they're not they're not big enough. We're having to go Dragon Ball Z style with I really need to get a book on anatomy because I know what deltoids are, but I don't know what the muscles in the legs are called. Zane, look at my screen and get envious. Because you don't have legs like these. I mean, it's... yeah, but the thing is with people that's very muscular, a little bit more than this drawing of Superman, but the one thing that kind of gets me is how on earth their movement has to be really restricted because of all the muscles getting in the way. Make him thicker. Yes, yes, I like that. Actually, but we then need to... Oh, you know what, actually, since it's then what you call it, side drawing is not the correct term. Three-quarter view drawing. A lot of the time the legs, they don't directly show forward when you draw them. What happens is they show a bit more to the side in opposite directions. So what I'm going to do in this case, this leg is going to show this direction, this leg is going to show our direction. So I can cheat a bit by drawing the glutes from the side like that and give him some bodybuilder legs, if that makes sense. This lady's in the chat looking at this and just sitting there. Yes, yeah, I wish my man had legs like that. Like, no you don't. Probably gonna crush you with them. You know, just for the fun of it. No particular reason. We're gonna make his legs even a bit thicker here. And usually, I don't know if he's going to have it because his legs are that thick. But what terminology should I use that's not too cringe or not too descriptive? But when you look at the leg, at the point where it connects to the body, you usually get a bit of a dip, inward dip here. But with his legs being so damn thick, is there going to be a dip or is it just going to be hidden behind the muscle? In which case, if it's hidden behind the muscle, it kind of needs to be pulled a little bit more backwards. Now we hope and pray this doesn't look natural at all, but dude, what roids are you on? We need to do an internal investigation on Superman. No, I said we need to do an investigation on Superman. So I don't know if you can hear the background, but we're currently trying to teach Zain Afrikaans, and one of the terms Dewald is trying to teach him now is meneer, ons wil jou onderbroek ondersoek. Should I translate this for them? Dudes, should I translate? Yes, see? Should I translate onderbroek ondersoek for them? No, onderbroek ondersoek just basically means investigating your underwear. Dude, there's something going on in this chat. There's some people that's just we need, never mind an internal investigation on Superman. There needs to be an internal investigation on this chat. I mean, this otherwhere it needs to be. This chat, man. No, his left hand is, you know what? Screw this. Yes, his left hand is cupping his ass. I know it's not. It's wiping his ass. I wonder if we should actually record this stuff and put it on YouTube. This specifically. I wonder if his balls would get demonetized. I can.
It's so flat. It's perfect.
What? You mean the drawing of Superman is perfect?
It's just this one company. They will just made like a. He always prepares for if they turn out to be a really bad like clients. He just prepares a roast for them ahead of time.
No, but the thing is, when you said it's so bland, I thought you were talking about Superman being all buff and stuff, but he has a flat pelvis.
Oh yeah, dude, he's really bland. Women don't care about that nowadays.
Nah, apparently not. Way back. Yeah, it's for me. It's so interesting how beauty standards and stuff changed over periods of time, because what we view as beauty these days were not viewed as beauty back then.
Yeah.
Like, for example, yeah, Zayn would come and do that often. For example, way back in the days, a beautiful woman would be considered somebody with pale skin and that's a little bit more chunky. Reasons being, I think when you see a big woman back then, because
Thick.
majority of people were very skinny and stuff due to not necessarily poverty but famine and stuff. And I'm talking more about the medieval ages, but famine and plague was a real problem. Where in the Victorian ages it was more of a poverty situation. and so they would prefer bigger women because bigger women would usually, I almost want to say, symbolize is not the correct word, but represent. It would represent wealth, and I'm not really sure the reason behind why they want women with pale skin, what that would represent. Um, I don't know. But the way they usually did that was by bloodletting, basically jabbing a nail into the skin and extracting their blood so that they get pale. Or they would usually do stuff like rub lead on their skin, which obviously led to disease. Also, for some reason, they put lead um, in their bread. I guess even the bread had beauty standards back then. No, the stream is not recorded as far as I know. I actually really would want it to be, but yeah. Do I, do I prefer eagles or eye ladies? You know, I don't think that's a question that needs to be answered. I prefer I prefer um, a woman with the beauty standards of. Oh no! Look at one of the sculptures they did of Aphrodite's. That's a beautiful woman. Yes, this underwear needs to be like super tight because he's this big buff dude and just at the waist it's like so skinny and tight. But we're gonna leave it that way. Actually, what I should do if he wasn't wearing this skin tight suit, I'm just like underwear like those bodybuilders do in the competitions. I would give him a more tanned skin color and then just at the legs or around the waist, this area, I would just make it as light as possible to represent the blood flow that's being cut off. But unfortunately, he's wearing his very, very tight suit. This Richelle, man. I don't I don't know what to say anymore. To be honest, I'm quite scared at this point. Zain,
You.
are you seeing the comments?
Which one?
Twitch.
Which comment is telling us?
The last one.
See.
Clunk sounds.
The joint of the eagle, the eyelids.
I prefer Roman goddesses.
Yeah. As far as charms go, there's like the more popular one just rolls up the tongue better.
Wait. Um. Uh, dude, I'm gonna say if I had to choose,
Yeah.
if you tie me up and force me to choose,
Yeah.
probably an eagle.
An eagle, huh? You
Yeah.
sure you don't want to pick the eye ladies option?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. I'm just asking out of pure curiosity as to why you didn't pick eye ladies, but you know, each to their own, you know.
Each to their own. I think usually eagles have a little bit more meat to them, and that's the reason I chose them.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care about them.
Am I genuine? These are the same thing. Or is there a difference? There's definitely a difference, Stefan. Explain the difference. Eagles, and then eye ladies nuts in your head. Bruh.
This looks like precious. Probably should rearrange the layers correctly.
It's good.
That's exactly what I said. That's why I need to arrange the layers correctly. See, now it doesn't have a skirt.
No, he doesn't have a scab. What is it, a romp? What a romp? Can't remember.
So all the people in the chat that's Afrikaans, if you want to, please teach Zayn an Afrikaans word.
I got like 41%, which is a pass, bro. It's a pass.
What is a microwave in Afrikaans?
Microwave.
Not even close.
Yeah, I don't know. What is a microwave in Afrikaans? And I'm supposed to know that how?
You vind het weinig oond buiten sit nie. What is what is a motorcycle in Afrikaans?
Motor. What is it?
Brompony.
Brompony.
I don't know how Afrikaans are going. That sounds like
There's no way, bro.
Zayn, I have another one for you. This is the most difficult one because there's like 3 answers for it. No, two. A calculator.
I remember it being something complicated, but I can't actually remember what it is.
One of the answers is
I couldn't think of that one, and then I just remembered in school the paper what supplies you needed.
yeah. So one of them is a sompompie.
Okay.
And the other one is a sakrekenaar. A pocket computer.
A pocket computer.
Yes,
Oh,
dude.
shit.
Yeah.
That's a
It's
good
like
one.
an EIE unplugged idea. It's like Afrikaans is that.
And English to Daniel.
I'm doing good. It's free. For like 4 years.
You come over here.
It's been great. We've been out for all about days. And it's going to be fun.
Damn, and we thought this streaming is about drawing. No, it's not. It's about facts, fun facts, and historical discussions and whatnot, and preferences. I don't necessarily always do this, but I think today it's a good idea to use the extra darker layer to just separate the 2 legs from each other. Yeah, I think we Now hopefully no. That goes on to... Damn Superman, why are your legs such a problematic? You know, it would be much easier to just draw Batman because then you just have a black blot. Zane? Rochelle said she's going to teach you Afrikaans when she comes visit.
Yeah.
He said he's looking forward to it. Oh, what's happening? May I ask why not?
We'll discuss it after the stream.
Yeah.
We can all have it. Most of everything we can't say in front of my eyes.
Dude, I thought about this and it was kind of funny.
You know what? That looks like a very complicated skirt instead of some muscular legs. But sorry, Superman. Actually, what if I try? Oh shoot! I hope that that works. Superman, please. Damn it! I think I'm gonna have to kind of redo the legs to the leg to make it just look like a leg. Sorry, Superman, for amputating one of your legs. That was not part of the plan, but here we are. So you know what I can copy is a kind of like those superhero poses where they the statue thing they usually do. Maybe steps on the head of a decapitated head of a brainiac with just this mic in the air in his hand on his waist. And his long locks waving in the air. Devil, what do you want to update? Also, I don't know how many of you came from the came from the channel. but if you came from the channel, at this point you should know who Zayn and Dewald is. I'm just gonna say they are in the chat, so if you have anything to tell them, you can tell them here. For example, what video we should do next. I promise we do look at your comments. Though Dewald has some form of Alzheimer's, I think, because he tends to forget things. And then 5 seconds later he remembers. Oh, this is kind of a funny thing with the legs. I did shows earlier, but I didn't talk about it. It's kind of, you have this muscle and your kneecap is here, and then you have these two muscles that kind of wrap around this one. So it's basically, you know what to draw, and at this point you just need to figure out how to draw it from the specific angle, because here's the top muscle. Now I just need to figure out to draw the one that wraps around it. And basically what comes underneath is technically what's supposed to connect to the glutes. And again, the reason I'm drawing this position is because if I just drew it downwards, as you previously saw, it looks like a damn skirt, and that's not what we wish for. Superman would, I think, feel highly offended if we kept it that way. And I think the worst parts of this is we have an intern sitting here today, and I don't know what he's going to tell these folks when he gets home today. It's like, Stefan, all the weird goed, all the weird stuff you heard here today, you didn't hear anything. What's said in EIE stays at EIE. Exactly.
Is that an E.I.E rule or a Daniel rule?
Both. I'm not used to drawing muscular men. This is a challenge for me. Like I feel at any moment Rochelle's gonna leave some kind of comments. I don't care if this is a weird leg position or whatever, this is a weird character. I wasn't necessarily a big Superman fan beforehand. Not gonna be a big Superman fan afterwards. Unless they make a Superman game that's similar to Arkham Knight. Then maybe I would like him. you guys have any ideas of about what nonsense we need to can discuss next, and just leave it in the chat. Because usually these discussions happen when I draw something and all of a sudden I decide to discuss something similar, and then as it goes I end up on a huge tangent. I almost feel like it's about to happen again. I think that looks good enough. Lewis shouldn't be too upset with that. That the stream is going really well, by the way. Yeah, so this is basically done. So what's going to happen next is I'm going to work on the facial expressions, and they're probably not going to be as intense as I want them to be, because as explained yesterday, when I draw the facial expressions, for example, when a character is shocked, you usually get these wide eyes with lifted eyebrows, but we generally want every single set of eyebrows match with every other single set of eyes. So even though these eyebrows are this high, with the next one they might be very low. So when we have those wide eyes, we can't have the eyebrows go over those eyes unless we decide, okay, for this it's set like this, the eyebrows are going to be on top of the eyes, that's set. We can do that, but it's just much easier to when animating, it's usually just easier to be able to swap between them and use every which one. And as I previously said, I'm just gonna make sure of this. Body, head, arm. So I'm just taking my time making sure I'm just making sure I have everything before I start deleting layers. Also, the reason I'm going to delete some of the layers because, sorry, I know my grammar and my pronunciation sucks. English is not my own language. I'm going to delete all the layers that consist of the body except the head and the facial expressions, because I need to do the facial expressions now, and all the layers everything that consists of the body is done. I don't have anything I need to look back on them for reference. And with all the layers, it's just very confusing. So that's basically why I should probably just keep the necessary layers. Sorry, I'm just gonna get rid of this. You can maybe see maybe some of you that might be interested in 2D animation or whatever, you can go to just go to YouTube or wherever. Usually Mappa do this, where they release a small snippet of a project they work on, which is basically the animatic. But you can see what they did with the animatic is they draw the outline of the animation without any colors, and what they would do a lot of the time, you can also actually go on Pinterest and see this, is they would usually use the outline for blue like this, and for the shading they would use yellow to kind of pinpoint where there needs to be shading and whatever. But sometimes I get a little bit confused with all the lines, so I just randomly color it in, just to make sure I don't get lost, because this happens a lot when you work on a project. You kind of understand why you do things and whatnot, but when you leave that project for a while and you come back later, you don't really understand or get why you did what you did. You kind of have to sit there again and go through this whole mental process of figuring it out. But I'm going to leave this shading layer here just for my own reference. So I'm also again using this layer to pinpoint where the shading is supposed to be. This is a layer I did. I think I did this yesterday. There was a other one called Angry. I started with yesterday. I finished it today. But with the facial expressions, generally the shading doesn't move that much unless there's a lot of scrunching and stuff like that. But this is basically, I'm just outlining this for my own reference to see where it's basically supposed to be. Because again, as I mentioned, yesterday I made this line and I understood why I put it there, but today I might have decided to put it a little bit farther away. And when I finally remember why I specifically put it at this point, I kind of like get frustrated or irritated with myself. It feels like a train hit me. It's like, now I did something that's very idiotic, but I just could have followed what I did yesterday, which is actually pretty, not to blow smoke up my own ass, but a more smarter option. Also, with generally speaking, with animation, or more so with anime, when it comes to shading, they use different types of colors. Where I now use just the basic, the flat color. They would sometimes use shading. Where in this thing I also use shading, but they would go a bit further where they would use another layer of shading, and they would use highlights. And if they feel like they really want to put in the extra work today, they're not in the mood to see their wives tonight, they're going to put in another layer of highlights. So yeah, the next set of facial expressions, made some notes on my phone. Just need to look at it. Come now, man. Okay, so I'm gonna read the list to you, so you might understand why this gets a bit tedious sometimes or monotonous. And this goes for both eyes and eyebrows. So I need to do one that's a neutral set and an angry set that we did do already. So what's left is a stupid, a confident, surprised, sad, and weird set of eyes. Or also the mouth we need to also do, because actually I should just start with the mouth. That would be easier for me. Because we need to do a resting position of the mouth. We need to position the mouth, draw a position of the mouth in such a way that makes a S sound, a V or F sound, a O, a L, and I think just the neutral pose. But sometimes I just like to go a bit extra and add a smile or a frown, just to give the character more personality. Because when we animate it, it's just like them dissing the other guy with these facial expressions, but when they go to a neutral pose, it's just flat faces. It's like a robot. They're not talking or anything behind that. And I think when Dievold gave me the list of these things to do, he didn't take that really into account, because beforehand they did a lot of animatronic animations, and with animatronics, obviously, it's basically just the jaw stuck to the head. They don't have lips or stuff like that. It's just open, close, open, close, open, close. They did have other characters, but they animated using I think the correct term would be vertices, where basically you have your line with rig points here, and for example, if you move this line upwards, where you get something like this, the line would follow. So you have these vertices, you move it upwards like this, and these points are anchored, so the line is just going to follow the position of the vertices. So they didn't explain this to me, but I presume that's how they previously animated before me and Zane started working here. Because a lot of their animation generally have smooth lines. This is also something I wanted to do when I started animating ears, because they made me start doing these puppet animations instead of the, I think you call it vertice animations that they did. I wanted to be able to draw smooth lines and stuff, but at the time I wasn't too confident with it, and I had extremely shaky hands, so it was difficult for me. So what I did to compensate for that is I used this current brush I use, which you can see it's a pencil brush, and how it works is it has a certain set of opacity, and the harder you press on the brush, the more the opacity comes up, and obviously the more you go over a certain spot, it also raises the opacity. So it's like a real life drawing where you do a light sketch, and then you can go over it and create the illusion of you having created a actual line. But in the meantime, when I did do this, I started experimenting with stuff. Actually, this brush is now my favorite, this one. And I kind of, for example, or for lack of a better term, I feel now comfortable enough to draw lines that actually work or follow the guide that I drew for myself. Also, with the tablet I'm currently using, it's much easier because I can see, it's a screen tablet, I can see where my hand is going. Previously I had a Wacom Intuos that I worked with, but when you work with those types of stuff, you need an extreme amount of hand-eye coordination, and it made it difficult to use brushes such as these, or any type of brush where it's necessary for you to make a stroke, a single stroke. And I could practice that, but that would have taken too long. Yeah man, what layer did I do there? I don't know. Oh yeah, this is something I wanted to do. This is not necessary anymore, as previously explained. Not going to use this as any reference. Zero reference. And the only reason I'm keeping the face is so that I can see where the neutral poses are, where the eyebrows and the eyes should generally be, so that I don't overstep in that position. Pink for the shading, which was that yellow. I did a little dip to create the illusion of a lip for his mouth. So I'm just going to create an idea for that also. Zane,
Yo.
can you do me a favor?
No. What's
No.
up?
So, there is a guy in the chat that left a comment that I presume is in Russian characters. You need to open Google Translate then.
Okay.
I want to see what this guy commented. What? Did you see my...
Have you seen my berries? Have you seen my berries?
No, I did not. Thank you, Rochelle. I completely forgot what I was supposed to do. Oh yeah. Best teacher on math. Nee, this looks fine for A position for the mouth, but the problem is when you do the L, it's basically the same position, it's just a bit smaller. So I'm going to make this look wider so I can keep this kind of position when I'm doing the L. That looks like he's shouting. But that's fine because Superman would be shouting for Lewis. By the way, let's talk about the Russians. Do you know that the word Russian begins with an R? Stupid facts about Russian. Also, here in South Africa, we do have a cannibalistic nature for the Russians. We like to eat them. But do not tell that to Miss Vladimir Putin. Rochelle, you know you're right. We don't want to scare them away. We don't want to stop our supplies. to all our Russian friends, please come visit South Africa. we desperately need your supplies. And we have a lot of starving children here. So by the way, the playlist we're listening to now is something Dewald cooked up, but we'll ask him if we can't get some rock or metal. Yeah. And just so every now and often some K-pop for the girls. Or just um uh real life crime. True crime podcasts. And they won't even they won't stay to watch the drums, they'll stay to listen to the podcast. Yes. This man actually needs to try and close his mouth. I'm afraid he might swallow a fly. I'm just gonna look up a reference of something I did a while back. Okay, you might, people that watch our YouTube, facial expression I'm gonna pull out is one of Sprunky, because I remember, yeah, I went really bad with his facial expressions. I pulled those to the extreme. The reason I did that was before we started animating Sprunky, we watched this opening scene of what's it called? Aqua Team Hunger Force, the movie. They had this opening sequence where there was this pretzel and milk carton metal show, but the facial expressions were so um, cool. We kind of took inspiration from that. And originally, we kind of planned, because you guys know Huggy Wuggy is this metal character. Originally, we planned that for Sprunky because that's so. We had the idea at the beginning of the rap battle. It's just like this chill, general electronic kind of stuff, electro music, and then at the end, Huggy Wuggy would say something that would make Sprunky mad, and we just like pull out the metal stuff. So we tried making a very expressive face for him. yesterday I discussed this with a friend about the trying tablet I'm currently using, but sometimes it doesn't always recognize or pick up the pen when I make short brush strokes or just step on the screen maybe to select a different brush. So that's why I decided in each and every stream we do from now on, I'm going to try and subconscious, if there is by chance anybody from a drawing tablet company, I would kind of leave a subliminal message, or not a subliminal message, but a plea for them to send me a tablet for a review or an unboxing. So if some of you, if anybody of you are from Xpen or Wuhan or wherever, just please, I want to access, I want a new tablet. I don't want a new tablet, I want a tablet to unbox. I beg of you.
Yeah, that's what like another reason.
Yeah. I think with that I can actually start with the outline now. And I'm gonna be silent for a while because I'm thinking of some ways to host Dewald or Zane. But I already have an idea. What would be a good one? Zane?
Yo, what's up?
Do you know what's a fridge in Afrikaans?
No,
Guess.
the refrigerator.
I'll give you 3 tries.
I have no idea, brother, man. Give me a hint.
It's I almost want to say very literal.
Refrigerator. Refrigerati.
An yskas.
Oh yes, it is an yskas.
A cupboard full of ice. What? It's unfortunately a work environment. If it wasn't, I would have given you the finger.
You're also on stream, so. Ooh.
That also.
We're sneaking things into the background until we notice. There's none of it in the background.
No, I don't think any of it is in the background. Luckily.
No, it is. Yeah, check.
Damn it.
I win.
Technically, Donna wins. It's just like refrigerator.
It's just you also didn't notice it an hour ago.
What?
And then I was like, you know what? That would actually make a good short. That is a good thing.
And on next, whenever we leave, whenever a new YouTube video come out, you guys should go there and just kind of do your best to diss Dewald. This is now the new thing from the stream. When you guys go to our YouTube videos, in the comments leave your best diss for Dewald. Because as you can see, I'm being treated at work. Dewald, the people on this Twitch, they're on my side. They're going to attack you in the YouTube comments. See, now that I'm made aware that Zane is doing weird stuff behind my back, I'm very wary of every time the dude walks past me, and he does that a lot. See, now he's even tying you guys. This is why I said in the next YouTube video, go to the comments and roast the hell out of these guys. They deserve it. They're making my work environment hell. Just kidding, but do diss them. So something I did start doing is, now I'm wondering, should I do it or shouldn't I do it? Because most of the time when I work in the program and I start coloring stuff, and I end up doing the teeth. I don't do straight white. It's more, I almost want to say eggshell colored, but to a much less extent where you don't really notice it. But because Superman is Superman, I wonder if I shouldn't just leave it as in plain white. Because I haven't ever seen him visit the dentist or anything, so it's probably that Kryptonian teeth. If I wonder, ne, I'm curious if Wolverine's bones is covered in, I think it's adamantite or whatever the metal is called. Why doesn't he have great teeth? Did they just cover every bone except his teeth? I'm obviously I'm so confused by that. Shouldn't they have like shiny grey teeth? There's so much that I'm confused about. Also, this is something, a little nitpick I have with people with regenerative superpowers. okay. He makes somewhat of a point. But I was talking about the power of regeneration because if you develop that power, you kind of, I think, before you develop that power, you already kind of need to be ripped and buff, because how muscles and bones also work is if you exercise, they tear, and when they heal, they grow back bigger, and that's why when you exercise, you get bigger muscles and stuff because they tear and they grow bigger when they heal. So if you have powers that regenerate, then aren't your muscles going to grow back the way they were before? That's just what I'm wondering, because when you chop off someone's arm that has uh, the power of regeneration, their arm goes back to where it was. It's not going to grow back or not going to heal to the extent where it's just going to be a stump within 2-3 minutes. Also, again, I'm going to drop in a other reference. This is the one I'm used for Tanjiro, the one I used for Tanjiro, and it's basically just to get the color of his mouth, of his tongue, and his sometimes I get so engulfed by the work, I don't really notice what's happening behind me. So if you see a Diavold or a Zane walking past me, please let me know in the chat so I may be aware. See, again, this is the part where I need to be wary, because I need to color in this bit, because the mouth is going on top of the face. So because he opened his jaw, what a lot of anime and cartoons and stuff do is they just change the shape of the mouth, but because I made the map so big at the moment, you can see there wasn't actually enough place to fit everything, so I had to widen his jaw also like it would naturally happen. But now I just need to color in this bit also, because if I don't, I'll show you, it's going to look like that if we just leave it the way it is. So maybe just from there. And the reason I don't color the entire segment is because there's already color behind this bit, and there's shading underneath the nose, and I don't want to mess that up by trying to copying the shading again, because that did happen in the past. Now when we just see, that's a scary facial expression. Oh man. Yeah, it looks a bit better. I think we can work with that. The movement of the mouth is so fast anyway, you won't notice the weird looking segments. Just sticking that one off. Okay. I think just quick and easy ones I can do at the moment is the smiling one, the one that's kind of like a frown. Just getting them out of the way because they basically just, how you put it, lines on a face. Also, this is something fun. It's not really something I would do with this kind of style, but I'm just going to draw it anyway just to show you. And especially if you're drawing realistic looking stuff. So you're gonna make like a dot like that and just make it blend in with the rest of the mouth. Obviously on a much smaller scale than what I just did, but we do have a flesh wise, we do have a tendency to have a little bit of a gap here in the corner. I think that's also a big part of it, is because the face isn't flat like most people would like to think. It does have a bit of a curve, and then before it goes like this, where you get the ears obviously and stuff. So I think with this curve, and a lot of shapes and stuff happens around the mouth. For example, this part is a bit fleshy and stuff. Especially, I'm talking about around the mouth. And when we get older, we tend to get kind of a, I almost want to say, wrinkle that way, that goes under the nose and that way. So there's a bunch of complicated stuff going around in that area. Oh, flipping wrong brush. But yeah, anyway, I think I'm going to end the stream here for now. Tomorrow is Wednesday. I think from tomorrow the stream would be starting at 11. I think I'll check up with Dewald and he'll confirm everything, and so there will be notifications. But yeah, I'll be checking out now, and I hope you guys tune in again tomorrow. And yeah, see you guys. Cheerio.